Hello again and welcome back to another one. And today we have a couple of topics to cover. One from Eminem, who dropped a PSA just hours before the release of the death of Slim Shady coup de grace. And just moments before this, fans were duking it out with Eminem critics on Twitter, seeing as there's been what looks to be a targeted campaign aimed at Eminem over the last few hours on Twitter, as even a quote, senior variety writer was caught up in this, and we'll expand on this in a bit. And since Eminem referenced the meme for the final trailer for his upcoming album, when he added the caption, "It feels so empty without him," the girl in question reacted to Eminem with, "All hail the king, no one spits like Shady." And today we also have one that takes us back to the frivolous litigation by quote, Charlamagnes people over the name Shady, when they tried to trademark the name of their podcast that included Shady, so they could be able to sell merch using the name. Of course, Eminem's team moved in swiftly to block it, seeing as he's held the trademark for over 2 decades. And we got latest reports on this battle after they requested a deposition, and spoiler alert, they just got dunked on, and we'll expand on this in a moment. And today we also have one that takes us back to Not Like Us, where Kendrick Lamar pretty much broke down why Drake is a quote colonizer, but apparently Kendrick was pretty much last to the party when it comes to this point about Drake, as this was already a huge debate years ago in the United Kingdom after British Drake became a thing, so much so that UK rap fans are now getting called out because they waited for Kendrick Lamar to say it before they agreed. And better yet, when it comes to dancehall Jamaican Drake, even Sean Paul pretty much talked about this years before Not Like Us became a thing, and we'll expand on this later, and I'll be looking forward to your thoughts. So starting with Eminem's latest PSA, seeing as we are in the streaming era of music where people skim through songs in random order to try to pick out lyrics to go viral, Eminem put this out there a few hours ago. Public service announcement: the death of Slim Shady is a conceptual album. Therefore, if you listen to songs out of order, they might not make sense. Enjoy. And the fact that he had to spell this out tells you all you need to know about this era of music. And moving on, seeing as Eminem decided to promote the album before release this time around, the critics came out of the woodwork in the hours leading up to the release of the album, in what looks like an effort to poison the water like they did with Revival, as suddenly certain tweets started to go viral. Tweets like this: Eminem's music has aged horribly among all rappers that get mentioned in the GOAT conversations. And we got more, even from accounts that never go viral, like this one from a senior variety writer that went viral peddling the same narrative just in time for the release of Death of Slim Shady, when they tweeted revisiting Eminem's discography, and wow, he has a staggering amount of awful music. And just so you are up to speed on what is going on, if this was about politics, this would be considered a classic propaganda move, because what is this narrative based on? We have zero evidence to support these claims, as every measurable metric says literally the opposite. Of all the rappers in the GOAT conversation, it is Eminem's music that has transcended generations the best. It is literally night and day. Every single metric you can measure supports this. Even rap's biggest account on IG could put up a poll on this debate right now, and you already know who wins it by a landslide. But somehow there's a certain group hell-bent on pushing the opposite of these facts. And boy, all I'd say is that senior variety writer's tweet is no longer available, because people are beginning to see what's going on. Eminem wasn't wrong when he rapped on premonition that these hypocrites are trying to get rid of him. Somehow this tired narrative still lingers. And moving on, remember when quote Charlamagnes people try to trademark reasonably Shady, and they even briefly addressed this on The Breakfast Club back then.
No, Robin and Giselle. Well, yeah, these people, they technically under you. Are they gonna change it?
I think you can use it as the name of your podcast. I don't think that they can trademark it for merch and stuff like that, because he already has I guess he has everything Shady trademarked for merch and records and everything else.
I don't think you can use Shady for anything.
You can't use it at all.
Well, I don't know why y'all asking me.
No, these your
they're
people.
partners.
They work.
You partner with them.
Regionally Shady is on the Black Effect iHeartRadio podcast network, but that's what lawyers are for.
Okay.
I have no idea about any of this.
Okay, so
I saw it
Eminem.
in the news like y'all did.
All right, so now you know he's coming for you.
Yeah, he's coming for you.
I just wanted to let
you.
you know that.
I don't think it's called
Podcast
Reasonable
Network.
Shady anymore, though. But
Those are two of our top podcasts, right?
Yes, yep, two at the top, two at the
Hey.
top, yeah. And Eminem is my favorite rapper anyway. That's just a fact.
Well, if you recall, they didn't take it well that Eminem moved to block that from happening, and they were even throwing shade on Watch What Happens Live with Andy Cohen.
Giselle at Chris Storm once says, I haven't heard you speak about the Eminem debacle. What do you think about his baseless lawsuit? Eminem is suing you and Robin because he says that he owns the word shady.
Yes.
Right, which you use in the title of your podcast.
Reasonably Shady. And he says that people will confuse, when they look for Reasonably Shady, they'll get confused and think they're looking for Eminem.
So they're still searching for Eminem?
Yeah, who's searching for Eminem?
Okay.
I don't know.
Okay.
No shade, but shade.
Okay.
Shade, yeah.
Okay.
We're still in talks. Lawyers are going back and forth, but we are persevering.
And we found out later in reports that they requested a deposition where their lawyer even argued that Eminem being too busy to show up shouldn't count because his clients are also celebrities in their own right. Well, we got an update on this clown activity a few hours ago. Rapper Eminem shuts down Real Housewives of Potomac stars Giselle and Robin's deposition plea in shady fight. Check it out. Following an intense back and forth, the United States Patent and Trademark Office Board ruled Giselle and Robin can depose Eminem's manager, but not the rapper. The board noted Eminem turned over 2,500 pages of requested documents to the reality stars. The order said Robin and Giselle have sufficiently demonstrated the need to take the deposition of witness in order to respond to opposer's summary judgment motion. United States Patent and Trademark Office Board said Giselle and Robin failed to demonstrate that Eminem's deposition, rather that or in addition to Mr. Rosenberg's deposition, is needed to respond to the summary judgment motion, particularly given Mr. Rosenberg, not Eminem, provided the declaration supporting the motion. So to sum it up nicely, this was a legal way of telling them, nope, you're not the stars y'all think y'all are in your own right. But perhaps the real purpose of this frivolous fight is to get their names out there attached to Eminem, because the release of the death of Slim Shady is only more proof that will be used against them in this quote fight. And moving on, a clip that pretty much summarized what Kendrick Lamar used to take down Drake resurfaced and went viral on TikTok. And this goes all the way back to 2019 when UK rapper slash grime legend Wiley got into a heated debate with a radio host about Drake's antics. Check out a snippet.
That's why. So can't you see what people do out here? Hence why man them who are not from the hood, they come to places, try and get involved with man from the hood. You know what it is, A-Dot? The truth is, he's just a pagan and he knows it. And if I say it, he can't say nothing to me, and that's the truth. A-Dot, listen, if you're a good you and you grew up in the suburbs and all of a sudden you become a rapper, do you know what you do? You gravitate to where you never came from. That's why.
So you think it's for perception for him?
Oh, mate, come on. It's a true story.
Even if he does something like, say, Top Boy or bringing out J Huss at a show, do you not see that paying off for someone like Dave, though?
All right, so where's J Huss now? After he did that, where's J Huss now?
He's working on his album.
But, okay, and you see when J Huss was in jail, you see if J Huss does go jail or something happens, where's Drake going to be? Nowhere. I'm not saying that he shouldn't bring out J Huss. I'm saying you lot, stop looking at it like he's helping us, because he's not. He's helping himself.
But is it not mutually beneficial at least? Doesn't Dave gain a lot from being in Top Boy?
Well, I just asked you, where's J Huss? My man is bringing out people like as if he is Jesus Christ the Saviour. Watch this. Do you know the part? Watch this part that I can see that you cannot maybe see. J Huss come out of jail. Did he come out of jail? J Huss, yeah?
Yeah, same day.
Yeah, my man brought him out the stage, right? That looks good, don't it? That looks cool, innit? Like,
yeah, it was major. I was there.
Yeah, I watch. It looks good, innit? My man brought him out, innit? Looks nang. My man brought out J Huss, innit? Does, innit? Looks nang, innit?
Yeah, it looks sick. Yeah, I thought it was amazing.
Exactly. It looked nang, innit?
But what's wrong with that?
But you just said it looked nang. You just agreed with me.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
Thank you. So
What would your message be to people that are saying, oh, Wiley, he's jealous, he's bitter?
No, I've got a new message. Artists, stay away from culture vultures, stay away from pagans, and stay away from people who wait until you're blown to come and stand next to you and collect money, but they waited till you was blown. So they weren't there in the hard times. They wasn't there in the time when man had to build up their name and fan base. They just turned up when everything was easy peasy squeezy. Stay away from them people.
And this sparked responses like, but it took for Keda to say it, for these UK clowns to listen. Listen to the girl doing the interview. You would think Drake grew in London, next door to her, over Wiley, our homegrown talent. And yes, he was called a bitter hater back then, and now users believe post-Kendrick battle. I agree with Wiley. He came over to the United Kingdom, took the lingo, and gave no credit. And even years before British Drake became a thing, Sean Paul called out Jamaican Drake back in 2016, and he even cleared it up in an interview with Capital Extra in 2017. Check out some snippets.
You know, honestly, I can't stop people from doing what they would like to do in music. Like, when people do dancehall music and they don't say to a 10-year-old kid who doesn't know who I am, you know, this is my dancehall single, then people don't know. I remember back in the day, I had a cousin who, his wife's a school teacher in Miami, and she was witnessing kids in her class argue over what Gimme the Light was, because some of the kids there thought it was a new form of hip-hop.
Okay.
And the other kids was like, no, that's dancehall. So that's the only reason. I mean, big up to Drake, big up to Rihanna, big up to Ed Sheeran, who has a dancehall-oriented single that's blowing up the world right now. I'm proud of that. That's amazing. But that, you know, that kids don't know, or, you know, that they don't say, this is my dancehall single, because I mean, that's the only way people will know. You know what I mean? If you say that. And that's the point I was trying to make. It might have came off like hate, but I can't really hate on that. Yeah, and it's not just for me. It's for, you know, the people who did pave the way for me. I'm still walking on the road they paved. You know what I mean? Bob Marley and people like Peter Tosh and, you know, just the great people. Steel Pulse here for me, like that's based in England. They are people who went through years of touring where it was... You had no form of tour bus. There was no internet that you could be just like on your phone like, yeah, guess what? Our tires flat now. No, they went through craziness to put me here.
So you could argue that Drake, quote, had it coming, and Kendrick Lamar delivered the goods. But what are your thoughts? And more importantly, are you hyped for the death of Slim Shady? Tell us below in the comments section. Thanks for watching, and see you on the next one.